This afternoon on a sunny day from Bradenton, Florida, the spring home of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Red Sox face a National League foe in the early days of the 2017 exhibition schedule, one day after getting about the best possible news on left-hander David Price. Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us today. I'm Dave O'Brien. My partner is Steve Lyons, and that collective sigh of relief you felt all the way up from Florida was Dr. Andrews, the legendary surgeon, telling David Price, Steve, that he does not need surgery in 2017.
And what a huge blow surgery would have meant, not only to David Price, but this starting rotation. It just takes all the pressure off this organization. They don't have to scramble around and think about who fills that roster spot, especially in your starting rotation. That's a little unsettled as it is. He makes everybody in that rotation better. He makes them all more comfortable, and it's great to have him back.
Tom Caron will have a report from JetBlue on the press conference from David Price earlier today. Let's talk about power a little bit, and the loss of 38 home runs from David Ortiz. That's got to be filled somewhere. Jackie Bradley hit a pair of home runs yesterday.
Yeah, and look no further than the guys that they're going to run out there. I think that they feel like if everybody just has the same season they had last year, they can make up the power difference. 26 homers out of Jackie Bradley last year. Another breakout offensive season for him to go along with his all-star type defense. Talking about a guy that could be a perennial all-star after making the team last year.
All right, so Jackie Bradley batting out of the 3 spot today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Red Sox, in fact, going for 3 consecutive exhibition wins. First pitch is coming up in just a moment here from Bradenton on Nesson. Training game on Nesson is brought to you by Ace Ticket. It's more than a ticket. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. And by Jordan's Furniture, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Some of the sights of Florida in the springtime. We certainly apologize. We know the temperatures have plummeted back home. Winter again with that icy grip has come on strong, but gorgeous here. A little bit breezy, and the wind has been blowing in most of the morning. Time to look at the starting lineups, which are brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. And for the Sox here today, it'll be Brock Holt to lead it off at short. Chris Young is in left with Jackie Bradley in center field. Pablo Sandoval having a good spring so far at third base. Blake Swihart doing the catching. Alan Craig at first. Brian Bogusevic is the right fielder and batting out of the 7th spot with Junior Lake, the DH, and Mike Miller, who we saw briefly last year at the big league level, at second base. All facing the right-hander Chad Kuhl, Steve. 5-4 for the Pirates last season with a .420 earned run average. And set to be the Pirates' number 4 starter this season.
Talking defense for the Buccos now in the outfield. Polanco in left field. Marte in center takes up his new position in center field. McCutchen, the veteran, moves to right field. Around the infield, Wood, Mercer, and Harrison at second base. Osuna will play first. Kuhl and Cervelli round out your battery.
So Brock Holt to get in for his first at bat of the day. So far, Brock is 3 for 9 for the spring. And as you recall, was the Red Sox opening day left fielder last season. He'll be followed by Young and then Jackie Bradley. And a right-hander Cool's first one of the day is in there for a strike, says Chad Fairchild.
Brock Holt was a little disappointed with his season last year. Didn't get as much playing time. Was injured.
Yeah, got off to a hot start, but then suffered that concussion in May, and that really lingered through a big chunk of the season. So he wound up playing in just 94 games. And in for a strike.
Hit in the mid 250s. We know that he's one of the more patient hitters in the Red Sox lineup.
Lines that one to left. Polanco on the move, won't get it. Over his head, and Brock Holt off to second base, and will be in there with a stand-up double.
Well, that's not the last time you're going to see that today. We were talking about it during batting practice. With the wind blowing, left field is going to be a nightmare today. I just didn't think it would show its ugly head in the very first play. This is a ball that's very catchable. Bad jump, and then bad judgment on the way the ball is going to blow towards that left field line from a left-handed hitter. You see the terrible jump, and then the ball just keeps sailing on it.
Now Polanco, part of an outstanding outfield for the Pirates. All three of these guys are way above average, particularly Marte, the center fielder. But a man quickly into scoring position, and Young will do his job and advance the runner. Harrison throws him out, and Brock Holt into third base. Umpires today are Chad Fairchild behind the plate. He's got the balls and strikes, joined by a couple of big league veterans in Emmel and Fagan, and a young umpire in John Bacon, who is at third base. So one away, a man 90 feet away for the Red Sox, and Jackie Bradley with an early RBI opportunity. And he'll take a strike.
On that last play, OB, by the ball up the middle by Chris Young, Cool did exactly what he should do. He tried to reach for that ball, thought about catching it, and then pulled away, knowing that his second baseman was right up the middle.
Jackie with 11 at bats so far for the spring. 2 home runs on Thursday. First time All-Star last year, and had that 29 game hitting streak. As he will roll that one foul. He'll be followed by Pablo Sandoval on deck, just getting started here today. Red Sox faced Atlanta on Friday on the road. Rick Porcello making his spring debut, and he was very strong. John Farrell was raving about him today as we chatted with John on the field here in Bradenton. He thought that Rick Porcello was in mid-season form right out of the gate. And that's going to be foul tipped and into the mitt, and that's strike 3. So Jackie Bradley foul tips it to Cervelli's mitt, and he fans, and there are 2 gone.
Yeah, that's a tough way to get a strikeout right there. A little foul tip just nicks your bat, can't get out of the way. Yeah, interesting to hear what Farrell was talking about with Porcello. Not a great spring last year, outstanding season, but ready to go.
Andrew Benintendi was 4 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs against Atlanta. Here's Pablo Sandoval going after the very first pitch. So far, Pablo hitting .417 for the spring. A slimmed down and surgically repaired Panda, trying to redeem himself after 2 tough years in Boston. Last year, Sandoval played just 3 games before that surgery to repair the torn labrum.
And you know, Dave, there's not a lot of people really talking about that. Everyone's talking about the fact that he has lost weight, that he lost his job last year because of the weight, and Travis Shaw took over. But he's returning from injury as well, still rehabbing that shoulder and trying to make sure that he can make a strong throw from third base.
So far, making very good contact early in the spring as he loops a foul out of play. The other thing about Sandoval that you will notice, along with the new physique for Pablo, is he has gone back to switch hitting.
I'm happy that he's doing that. I mean, switch hitting is such a difficult art to master, but if you've tried it most of your life, it's just something you got to stick with if you can.
He won't chase. (2015) his first year with the Red Sox. He hit .245, 10 homers, 47 runs batted in. Blake Swihart on deck. So those were very disappointing numbers across the board for Sandoval. And as ever, a very aggressive swinger.
He doesn't see too many pitches he doesn't think he can hit. That's what I think really makes him such a streaky hitter. When he's seeing the ball well and he's swinging at everything, he squares it up. When he's not seeing the ball so well, he doesn't get any more patient. He just doesn't hit it as well.
2 down, Holt at third base, and Kuhl trying to get out of the first inning without a run. And again fought off foul by Sandoval. How tough do you think that'll be for him to get back into the groove as a switch hitter after junking it his last season in the big leagues?
Well, I think he's had a lot of time to put work back into it over the offseason and now into spring training here. You know, the swing itself should come back fairly naturally. He never really had that much trouble switch hitting before he put a Boston uniform on, and that just coincided with so many other troubles he was going through as well.
The 2-2. Cut on and missed. Down to go strike 3. So the Red Sox threaten but do not score. Brock Holt stranded at third base after a half inning. No score in Bradenton. And time to look at the starting lineup, brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. And for the Pittsburgh Pirates here today, it'll be Josh Harrison at second base, Starling Marte in center, Andrew McCutchen in right, Gregory Polanco in left field, Francisco Cervelli doing the catching, batting fifth. That's probably 1 through 5 how they're going to open up the season. Then Freese, Jordy Mercer, their regular shortstop, Osuna at first, and Wood at third base, facing the right-hander Hector Velasquez. 28-year-old from Sonora, Mexico, making his second start of the spring for the Red Sox. Boston taking a chance on a right-hander. He's never pitched in the major leagues. So getting a look, likely to go, Steve, about 3 innings today.
Well, he's pitched more than anybody else. He played in the Mexican League and then the Mexican Winter League, then the Caribbean Series.
First one in there for a strike on Harrison, who hit .283 last season for the Pirates.
Velasquez is a guy that doesn't throw hard, 89 to 91. He's got to be pinpoint.
When he started against the Tampa Bay Rays a week ago, general manager Dave Dombrowski and a big front office contingent was there to watch him at Port Charlotte, an indication that he has their attention. He is somewhat intriguing. Down the line, and that one's going to sail on out of play.
John Farrell was funny today. I asked him about Velasquez and say, hey, you guys signed him to be kind of a depth guy in your organization, maybe not seriously looking at him to make the big league team. But then with the scare with David Price, you take a longer look at him. He says, we look at all our depth guys.
Yeah. Well, the Price thing had everybody on pins and needles for a couple of days after experiencing discomfort in that forearm. Cut on and missed, and Harrison retired. So Velasquez gets his first man of the afternoon. One away.
Looked like a little slider there from Velasquez. He needs to work on his breaking balls. That's a good pitch right there. Might have been a changeup. That is his best pitch, is the changeup. Doesn't really have a true curveball. Little cut, slider, and then that fastball, as we mentioned, he'll sink it, but he doesn't throw it very hard.
Brings up Starling Marte, their outstanding center fielder. Hit .311 last season. And in fact has won the last 2 National League Gold Gloves in left field. This season they are moving him to center field. Brock Holt at short today. We'll throw him out. 2 up, 2 down. Dave Dombrowski is here today. He's with the club in Kissimmee, along with Frank Wren to his left, getting another look at Velasquez. And I think everybody, including David, noticeably relieved after the news, good news coming from Indianapolis yesterday, where David Price went to meet with Dr. Andrews.
Certainly good news. No surgery, no plasma shots, but there's still some soreness, and he has to take some time off, and that's got to be at least a little concerning.
Yep. Well, some medication over the next 7 to 10 days, and we'll see where that leaves David Price. But TC will have a report coming up next half inning from JetBlue earlier today, where David Price showed up. David had sent out a tweet which I think had everybody a little confused. It was funny if you knew some of the backstory of it, because he went to Indianapolis where the NFL Combine is, and he said, well, I ran a 4.140, so now I can go get my island. I'm going to choose my island, because the Adidas company said that anyone who breaks the all-time record at the Combine, the 40-yard dash, they will buy an island for. Line to center. Bradley on the sinking liner will snatch that. And a good opening inning for Velasquez. He gets him 1-2-3 here in Bradenton. No score.
Way South Complex, where David Price returned to the team today after getting good news in the second opinion on his elbow. He said the strain is in the muscle, not in the ligament. That's the best news. But in fact, he said all the news couldn't have gone any better. Relief is the word of the day here at camp.
It's not really something I've had to go through before, you know, just to hear it from 2 of the best elbow guys out there. You know, it's definitely a sigh of relief and ready to go.
Ready to go. That's a good sign. In the understatement of spring, it's a good sign that he is ready to go. Obviously won't be immediately getting back into the fray. Rest, some medication. After that, the Red Sox will evaluate and see how he feels. But really, the news could not have been better.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. No surgery, obviously. And then, after that rest, and they put a ball in his hand, they'll put together a modified throwing program to get him fast-tracked back to the mound.
Blake Swihart opening up the second inning with a cut and a miss.
But as you mentioned, we talked earlier that this is a very cautious organization, and they will not rush anybody, let alone one of their ace pitchers, back to the mound before he's ready to go.
1-2 to Swihart. That is in there for strike three. There's 3 consecutive strikeouts for Cool going back to the first inning. One away in the Red Sox second.
Nothing tricky right there. Just blew him away.
Alan Craig will be next. Getting us started first here this afternoon. Last year for the 32-year-old former All-Star and National League MVP candidate just about 4 years ago. An injury-plagued season with the Paw Sox. He hit just 173 in 75 at-bats. Soft roller foul.
I'm not making any excuses for Alan Craig, because he certainly has not, in a Red Sox uniform, been the player that he was when he played in St. Louis. But he has never been healthy since he's been here. The foot, when he got here, tried to play through that.
He remains, for me, one of the more fascinating characters, though, because you go back just 4 years. He drove in 97 runs. He had back-to-back seasons where he drove in more than 90 runs. And that Alan Craig has effectively disappeared off the face of the earth. And yet, as you see him now, he looks like he's in good shape. He's 32 years old, so it's getting there. But as you see, a career .276 hitter. Occasional power. Was a big RBI man with the Cardinals.
One of the best clutch hitters in the National League when he was with the Cardinals. Well over 300 when guys were in scoring position. The guy just, if there was someone out there, he drove them in. And that's how you, like you said, all those RBIs he got, he wasn't hitting 3-run homers. Guys were on base, and when they were, he'd hit a gapper, he'd hit a single. He did what he had to do to get guys in when they were there for him.
He 1-2 from Cool. Mercer at short. He was effective, if not spectacular, and guns him down. He had it long enough there at first base. Osuna for out number 2. Brian Bogusevic is next. He's in at right field today. Bogusevic has been around a little while. He's now 33 years old, signed as a minor league free agent. A left-hand hitter who played last season in Japan. The third baseman Wood with a knockdown, up and gunning, and got him. And that will retire the side. So fast inning. The Sox go 1-2-3 here in Bradenton. No score. Red Sox and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's take a look now at the upcoming events at Foxwoods Resort Casino. Alicia Keys goes on Sunday, March 12th. And one of Steve's favorites, the comedian Carrot Top, March 17 and 18.
What a show Carrot Top puts on, I'll tell you.
I don't believe you've actually seen it, but nice effort on your part. Well, you can see him certainly coming up here as we go to the bottom of the second. Polanco, Cervelli, and Freeze for the Pirates against Hector Velasquez. Polanco last year, .258 with power, 22 home runs, 86 runs batted in. He's a 5-tool guy. Although he had trouble with the Brock Holt double that sliced over his head in the first inning.
Yeah, I think if you're a left fielder in today's ball game, even though the wind's blowing straight in, I'd take a step or two back from where I normally play and be very cautious. That wind is very tricky in left field here.
Yeah, the combination of the wind and the sun. And in there for a strikeout. Polanco can also run if he gets on. Stole 17 bases last season. Pirates finishing out of the postseason money in 2016 in third place in a tough division, the NL Central. Going 78 and 83, 25 behind the Cubs.
Terrible season for them last year. Well, I tell you, you don't see the Bucks that often, and you forget how big Polanco is. 6'5", 230.
3-2. Clint Hurdle, the manager. In the last year of his current deal. 3-2 on the way. Tried to hold up, and he did. So does ball 4. Velasquez walks his first man of the day. Now, Chicago was the only Central Division team to make the playoffs. Not even St. Louis made it last year. After a run of lots of October baseball 3 consecutive years, the Pirates pitching fell apart last year. They won 20 fewer games than the year before. Bullpen got really heavy innings. Andrew McCutchen, their star, his performance slipped a bit. Line shot. That one will skip into right center field. Caught a piece of the bag. Cervelli with a base hit. Down to third is Polanco. That shot almost drilled Velasquez.
Velasquez barely got out of the way, and then it hit the second base bag. This would be first and second if it didn't hit the bag. That allows Polanco, an excellent base runner. He sees the ball hit the base. He knows nobody's there to get it, so he just keeps going. It's a tough break for the Red Sox right there.
So 2 on and nobody out for the DH today, David Freeze. Former St. Louis Cardinal, World Series star. Last year with the Bucks hit .270 with 13 home runs. Still good power. And Velasquez looking for a ground ball as he fires outside, a little low for ball 1.
Kind of strange when you look at those really good Cardinal teams of a few seasons ago when Alan Craig was there. Freeze was there. They both left and went to different organizations, and it didn't work out well for either of them.
1-1.
Freeze has kind of found himself a home here now in Pittsburgh. He's going to be their #1 bench player, DH during American League games.
Yeah, play some first base, some third base. And can drive in some runs. And a 1-1 will miss.
See, that's an example of the type of pitches that when Velasquez is out there on the mound, he's got to get those for strikes. He has to have that call. He just doesn't have the blow you away stuff to be able to get away with mistakes that catch more of the plate.
Now, John Farrell said that his outing against Tampa Bay the other day was a good 2-inning look. The Red Sox do want to see more. He went 2, he struck out 4, walked a man, he allowed 3 hits. He pitched for 7 years in the Mexican League. That and smoked to center field for an RBI single as he gets down in front of JBJ. Polanco in to score, and the Pirates take a 1-0 lead here in the second inning. So the first three hitters here in the second have all reached against Velasquez.
The importance of a guy like him to get ahead in the count, falling behind hitters, and then you see pitch location out over the middle. He cannot get away with that.
So walking back-to-back base hits will send up the 7-hitter Jordy Mercer. Everyday shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates. 256, 11 homers last season. One advantage the Red Sox believe that Velasquez has is he's pitched a lot of innings leading into spring training. Not much of a rest. That could be a bit of a warning sign, but he pitched very well in the Caribbean Winter League. Red Sox took a long look at him. He was lights out. He made 14 starts, a .223 earned run average. So all warmed up coming in.
Pitched a lot of innings there too. 85 innings in the Winter League previous to coming here for spring training. So they have to juggle. Yeah, he might be in midseason form right now, but when does fatigue start to set in for him?
Nobody out. Hit sharply, and Sandoval will sling into second for one, and the Red Sox turn to double play. Velasquez very much needed that. Cervelli safely down to third, but with two down.
That's exactly what he needed right there. Another hard hit ball, but he gets some help right here. He has it hit right at someone. Easily turned.
So that goes 5-4-3, 2 gone. A run in. Osuna the batter. Jose Osuna, who's manning first base today. They had him at AAA last year. Has some power. He is one of their top prospects. Josh Bell, who's a switch hitter, figures to be their opening day first baseman. 2 down, a man at third, and inside for a ball. Pirates used a lot of players last season, a franchise record 55 players. And again, wound up finishing in third place.
Players. They went through 6 catchers last season.
Yeah, how do you do that?
6. Where do you find that many guys in your organization?
No. It is the toughest position to play.
Yeah.
And you're going to get banged around, but that's pretty extraordinary. 2-2. Red Sox also expecting to pitch Joe Kelly today, along with Matt Barnes and Fernando Abad, the left-hander.
Abad's really a bubble guy all of a sudden. They've basically told him he needs to make a club. It's not guaranteed for him. He's got to go out and press.
Base hit. Sandoval with a dive and a miss, and another run is in as Cervelli will score to make it 2-0 Pittsburgh. Osuna with the base hit.
You know, obviously Panda couldn't get to that ball, but last year he would have been nowhere close. There's an expanded range. You see him all the way into the 6th hole trying to make a play there. It's kind of interesting. Usually you don't talk about a play that's not made, but the range you see on that play right there, far better than what we saw out of him last season.
I'll bring up the 9-man Eric Wood, their third baseman here today. Pittsburgh on top 2-0. A walk, 3 singles in the inning against Velasquez. And a foul back by the 9-man. Now the Pirates' ace is the right-hander Garrett Cole. A couple of years ago, he won 19 games. He had some elbow problems last year. Former Yankee Ivan Nova is also in their rotation. Got a piece. And a count 0-2. And they have a terrific outfield with Marte, Polanco, and McCutchen. And whether any of that is going to be enough to come anywhere near the Chicago Cubs, very doubtful.
Well, came into last season at about this time calling the Cubs the best team in the National League, and they proved it, and nothing's changed.
It's a great World Series.
Fantastic baseball, fantastic drama, great TV.
The 1-2, and he got him. He struck him out. But a rocky inning for Velasquez as he gives up 3 hits and 2 runs, and the Pirates are on top 2-0. Red Sox down here 2-0 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. This Red Sox spring training game on NESN is brought to you in part by Ace Ticket. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics tickets. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS to treat someone special to a game right now. And after the first 2 innings, Pittsburgh in front, and they'll go to a new pitcher in Wade LeBlanc. See his numbers last year between Seattle and the Pirates. 4-0, a 3.77 ERA.
You talk about a guy who's really bounced around lately. He was pretty much a mainstay in that San Diego organization until 2012 when he went to Miami, then Houston, then Los Angeles, then the Yankees, Seattle, and finally landing here in Pittsburgh.
Now he'll get, for the Red Sox, Junior Lake, Mike Miller, and then Brock Holt's second at bat. Sox are trying to get Velasquez through 3 innings today, but he was knocked around in the second. A walk and 3 base hits. Could have been a lot worse if not for the double play ball. Junior Lake DH today, batting out of the 8th slot. Last year with Buffalo in the minor leagues at .231 with half a dozen home runs. And a right-hand hitter will take a strike.
This guy, Junior Lake, was a big-time prospect in the Cubs organization when he came up. They really liked him as a hitter and a right fielder, left fielder.
He's now 27 years old, played 22 games for Toronto last year. He's also played, as Steve mentioned, with the Cubs and Baltimore. Has some power. A block from the set and misses downstairs. Being caught by Francisco Cervelli today, who is the Bucks' #1 catcher. He's going to play for Team Italy again in the World Baseball Classic for the second time. Into right field. That one's going to drop down for a base hit. So Lake goes the other way for a single. And the second Red Sox hit of the day. Cervelli, of course, fascinating because he's from Venezuela. That's where his mom is from, but his dad is Italian. So he winds up playing for Team Italy for the second time in his career. Talk about the World Baseball Classic, and there's a lot of opinion in these camps in both Arizona and Florida about the worthiness of the WBC and sending players. Red Sox have, of course, Xander Bogaerts playing for the Netherlands. Has to go all the way, to South Korea to play. The Red Sox are effectively going to lose sight of him throughout the tournament until he comes on back as Mike Miller gets in here at 228 with the Paw Sox last year. What are your thoughts on it?
I just don't think it is as important to the U.S.-born players as it is to some of the other countries. You bring up Cervelli. I think he takes a lot of pride in being able to play for the Italian team. The Latin-born players putting the name of their country on their jersey. They don't do that when they play in the big leagues. They're putting someone else's jersey on.
0-2.
I don't think it holds the same weight for the USA guys.
Miller caught looking. One man away here in the third inning. Well, I don't think there's any comparison, as Brock Holt gets in. There's absolutely no comparison in my mind from what I've witnessed, and I've called a couple of those World Baseball Classics, between how, for example, Japanese professionals, how they feel about it as opposed to a lot of American players, American-born players. It's just night and day. And I think that Xander's playing for the Netherlands, and that's a group of guys who, by and large, they had a great run in the last one, very surprisingly, and they want to do the same thing again. There's a great deal of enthusiasm about it, but I don't sense the same thing.
No.
In Sox camp or any place. Of course, we all went through the whole news cycle with Hanley deciding he wasn't going to play for the Dominican Republic with his shoulder situation, which has tightened up a little bit on him. Nothing terribly serious, but that's kept him out of that, playing for the Dominican Republic,
and kept him off of first base.
Mm-hmm.
But the other worry that goes along with it, especially when you bring up Xander's name, is he goes and plays third base for the Netherlands team.
Right.
So he's now not getting his reps, and some people say, hey, he's a shortstop, who cares, goes over and plays for a couple weeks at third base. Well, end of the day, you're down here trying to get yourself in shape to play the position you're going to play during the regular season, and that's going to be shortstop for him.
Brock Holt 1 for 1 with a double. Line shot over Polanco's head in the first inning, but he was stranded at third base. Junior Lake at first with one man out.
I can't tell you that I was involved as well in the very first WBC they had, and in the second round down in Puerto Rico. When you have the Puerto Rican team, the Dominican Republic team, and the Venezuelan team all in the same region playing there, that's a party. That is baseball like you've never seen. Those people love it, and they're crazy and passionate.
Down into the dirt, runner goes. Here's the throw from Cervelli to tag, and he's safe. So Lake gets in there after a pitch down into the dirt.
That's an excellent jump by Lake. When he sees the ball in the dirt, he doesn't hesitate, scrambles off to second base, gets those long legs working.
A good block there by Cervelli, but did not recover in time to get Lake, who is into scoring position here. Red Sox trailing 2-0 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And slapped to the right side. Harrison will dig it. So 2 down, and again the Red Sox with a man at third base for the second time here today. And I get your point. I mean, there's great enthusiasm about the tournament in some places.
Yeah.
Just not necessarily here.
Not here. But those games, if you put Puerto Rico and the DR against each other, or you add in the Venezuelan team or the team from Cuba, it's it's beyond playoff baseball atmosphere. It's like, if you've never experienced anything like that, you won't believe it until you see it.
Yeah, it's a little more like a soccer World Cup
party.
Yep.
In around a baseball game.
Chris Young 0 for 1. He is grounded to second today, and he'll look at a strike. The veteran stayed in camp at JetBlue on Friday, and he took some swings against Drew Pomerantz as the left-hander tossed some live batting practice. Very classy gesture by Chris Young, and he's been with the club now. This is his second year, so that's not a surprise. But he went to Pomerantz before that workout and said, "Hey, if you want, I'll get in. I'll take some swings." And he did not make the trip over to Kissimmee. Not everybody does that.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, right. It's a high fly ball into left field. That one is well struck way back there. Sailing, and that ball is out of here. Chris Young with a blast. And he has tied it up here in Bradenton. Now Chris with 9 home runs last season. His first of the spring. He's actually swung the bat quite well this spring. That is his 5th hit in 10 at-bats.
I'll tell you what, in batting practice today, he was bombing the ball. There's another one right there. That's a pitch out over that he can handle. Obviously, with the left-hander on the mound, that's the situation that Chris Young is going to see mostly. But he did a pretty nice job against righties last year, too, when he got the opportunity after the first half of the season.
Jackie Bradley tried to hold up, but cuts and misses. He struck out in the first inning. So Young with his first home run of the spring. Well, he loves the lefties. Chris Young, .327 the last 2 seasons against left-handed pitching. So the Sox have tied it up at 2 here, and a high fly to center. Marte will put that one away and retire the side, but the Red Sox with some power. Chris Young with the blast, and we're all even at 2 apiece.
Back to Lecom Park. It's the bottom of the 3rd, and we are tied at 2. I'm Garen Austin. Hi, everyone. Well, after his first game on Sunday, Hector Velasquez said that he was used to watching the Red Sox on TV, and to be playing for him was pretty exciting. He said the biggest difference between the Mexican and the major leagues is the discipline the guys have and the way that they prepare for games. Velasquez said he's been more aggressive this year, and guys, John Farrell said that he has a simple delivery, it's efficient, and as you guys have mentioned, he said they definitely wanted to get a second look at him in this starting role.
All right, Karen, thank you very much. And now he has a little bit of offensive support to tie up the ball game thanks to the Chris Young home run. And it looks like it'll be 3 innings today for the right-hander. Gets the top of the order here in Harrison, Marte, and McCutchen. This is the Pirates opening day lineup in about 6 or 7 positions. So pretty good test for Velasquez.
Certainly an eye-opening experience for a guy who says, hey, I used to watch these guys on TV. Now I've got their uniform on my back. And to come into a completely new system. As Garen mentioned, the discipline of the players getting ready for games here in spring training as opposed to what he's seen in Mexico. Obviously, a little less dedication.
Slap foul by Harrison, batted .283 with 4 home runs last season. And likely to be the leadoff man for Clint Hurdle's team this season. And the everyday second baseman. And the 1-2 rope foul. Some hard hit balls off the right-hander so far today.
Yeah, they have been squaring up some balls. Even the outs that have been made have been hard. That double play ball to Sandoval, that ball was smoked down there.
Velasquez sits about 89 to 90 with the fastball. That one roped the other way, but foul. Has that split change you talked about. Bit of a cutter. Everybody's got a cutter. A beautiful day here in Florida.
Good time for that split right here.
1-2. Foul back. And Velasquez looking to put him away, but again hit foul by Josh Harrison. Did you see what Adam Wainwright did in the Cardinals camp the other day? The veteran pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the National League. It was a young prospect who was leaving camp every day and walking 15 minutes back to his condominium or his apartment. And the first several days of camp, Wainwright had noticed him walking, you know, not getting in the car, but walking every day the 15 minutes back to his abode. As that one is lined into right center field, will drop down for a base hit. So Harrison on with a single to lead off the third inning. And Wainwright picked up the phone and he called a car rental agency and he rented the kid a car for the rest of spring training.
It's a great gesture, an easy thing to do for a guy like Wainwright. But you know, it's funny because people, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to do gracious things for people.
I think that's
a great
the point.
Story.
It's exactly right. I mean, and he is. He makes a lot of money. He has for a lot of years. It's not about that. But you just noticed this guy walking on the side of the road. And he asked him. He said, "What's going on there?" He said, "Well, you know, I don't have any arrangements for a vehicle or anything, but I'm fine." And I guess as a note of thank you, he Googled Wainwright, found out what his favorite things were, and Chick-fil-A is like one of his favorite places to go for lunch. So he bought him like a $20 gift card. Just to say thanks. But I mean, very classy gesture by Wainwright.
Both.
Yeah.
Stories like that never get old in this game.
Marte 0 for 1. He is grounded to short.
Harrison was leaning right there. It looked like he was thinking about taking off. Swihart looking into the dugout to see what they want to do defensively.
And Blake back behind the plate this season. He's back to being a catcher again. After his tryout as an outfielder last year. He's such a good athlete. And of course, it was as a left fielder where he injured that ankle and was lost for the rest of the season, sliding into the wall at Fenway.
Red Sox as an organization are not afraid to tinker with guys' positions. Now, when you think about it, they put Swihart out in left field as a way to try to get his bat in the lineup. It wasn't like they didn't like him as a catcher. He hasn't been catching all that long, so he still has work to do back there. But they're trying to figure out a way to get him in the lineup. It didn't work out, and he got hurt. But think about it. Mookie Betts is a second baseman. Brock Holt's a second baseman. These guys are all playing different positions now and doing it well at an all-star level. Not even their regular position.
Yeah, it worked out okay for Mookie.
Yeah, and most organizations wouldn't even try it. Wouldn't even think about it. Not taking my second baseman and putting him in right field. Well, if you got Petey in front of him, you better do something.
0-2 runner goes. Here's the throw, the tag, and he's safe. Well, that one took Miller off the bag as he tumbled backwards. Looked like a pretty good throw.
Well, it's short hopped Miller though, so that was a great tag by Miller. Excellent effort here because this ball's going to skip on him. So you got to get your glove on the ground, come up with it to catch it, and then try to get it back down for the tag. He almost pulled it off.
So Harrison in there on the thefts. 19 stolen bases a year ago. That one roped into left field, down for a single. Runner down to third base, and Harrison, solid base hit for Marte. And that'll put runners on the corners here with nobody out for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And bring up Andrew McCutchen. And another well-struck line drive off of Velasquez.
I think it's fairly obvious at home if you're watching the game. You can see the difference. If you are a finesse type pitcher and you're not on the corners, on the black, moving that ball in and out, it can be a long afternoon for you if you stay out over the middle of the plate. These guys can hit.
Well, the guy at the plate certainly can. 0 for 1 with a liner to center. Deep drive into right. Bogusevic will make the catch, and the tag up by Harrison. He is easily in to score, and the Pirates are back on top as McCutchen picks up the RBI.
Oh, that's McCutchen right there, knowing the situation, going with the pitch. It's away from him, just drives it out there. He's going to pick up the run. He's always been an excellent run producer, has McCutchen.
You know, his name was floated around in trade talks over the winter. That has never happened to him before. He's been such a big star with the Pirates. He was reportedly nearly traded to the Nationals in December following a subpar year. Now he's been moved from center field over to right field.
And how much class has he handled that move with? You're talking about a guy who wakes up every morning of his life believing that he's a center fielder. And now with a little bit of age and the fact that Marte is the better center fielder at this point in their careers, he's moved over and hasn't said a word about it.
Runner goes. Now on a high fly to right center field. Jackie Bradley has it all lined up. And Marte back to first, and there are 2 down. Hey, tonight, newly acquired Drew Stafford and the Bruins will host the New Jersey Devils at TD Garden. Coverage begins at 6 with the Bruins Live, presented by Geico. That'll send up Francisco Cervelli, 1 for 1 with an RBI single. Runner at first base, and 2 down, a run in. Pirates on top here, 3-2. Now you're watching a Pirate team very active on the bases, and they have to do that. John Farrell's talked about this with the Red Sox this spring, and his desire to be more aggressive on the bases, to run more frequently, to run guys like Xander and Jackie Bradley and Mookie Betts and Dustin Pedroia more often.
Well, it's crazy if you have the asset of speed and don't use it. And as you talked about in the open, you're losing a ton of home runs from Big Papi not being back in the lineup. So you don't need to make up the difference in home runs. If you can get a guy from first to second on a stolen base, now a single scores him. You don't have to hit the ball out of the park to make up those runs.
Hard hit, base hit. Sandoval couldn't get to it. Cervelli is 2 for 2. That's the 3rd hit in this inning and the 6th in the game against Velasquez.
Again, just hit too hard past Sandoval before he can get on the ground to snag it.
The Red Sox have Jamie Callahan, a right-hander, throwing in the bullpen. Carl Willis, who is back for his 3rd year as the Red Sox pitching coach, out for a visit. 3 runs, 6 hits against Velasquez, who really has not been much of a mystery at all. He was very economical in the first inning. He only threw 10 pitches, he got him 1, 2, 3, but the last 2 frames have been a different story.
Yeah, and I think that may be the only reason he's still in this ball game. They wanted him to get through 3 innings if he could, but that quick first inning has helped him because these last 2 innings he's been throwing a lot of pitches, and they don't want to overuse him.
Here's Freese now, an RBI single in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 1. Runners on at first and second, and across for a called strike. Sox will be back at JetBlue on Sunday to take on Atlanta. Oh, 1, a high chopper on the infield. Sandoval gloves, fires and gets him. Very smoothly done there by the Panda. But another run is in, the go-ahead run, and the Pirates are back in front 3-2 after 3. Top 4, and the Pirates lead the Sox here 3-2. Still looking to group tickets for opening day or games against the Yankees, Cubs, or the Ortiz retirement game. Limited hospitality packages still remain for these and every game. Visit redsox.com/groups for more information. Steve Lyons, Dave O'Brien, Garrett Austin with you on a beautiful day here in Florida. Pablo Sandoval to lead off the 4th inning against LeBlanc, the left-hander. High fly left center, well hit. Marte back there shy of the track and will make the play. Sandoval put a charge into it, but short of the warning track for out number 1. So the Panda 0 for 2, and Swihart will be next. When we talk about Blake Swihart and what an excellent athlete he is, a switch hitter, guy can do a lot of things on the offensive end. Back to catching again, no longer an outfielder. There aren't many openings in this Red Sox camp, but the backup catcher spot, you could say he is in the hunt for.
Yeah, early on, John Farrell had him 3rd on the depth chart, but that doesn't mean things can't change over the next month down here in spring training. You have to figure that potential-wise, anyway, he's got the best upside offensively. You know, he can swing the bat a little bit.
He has options that's certainly in his favor. Up the middle for a base hit. So he's 1 for 2. So Swihart on quickly in front of Allen Craig.
He did struggle defensively early last season. That precipitated at least part of the move out from behind the plate into left field and to try to keep his bat in the lineup, but still a lot of upside right there with that kid.
Craig 0 for 1. He has grounded out to short. And downstairs for ball 1.
See if Alan Craig may think about using the right side of the field. Maybe even the possibility of putting Swihart in motion. Its natural swing is an opposite field swing.
The Sox have gotten a 2-run homer from Chris Young here this afternoon. That was in the 3rd inning. After hitting 9 home runs last year, Chris has always had very good power. Swihart not running, and that one is stroked into left field. Polanco on the move all the way to the wall, and he'll run it down. Nice running catch. He has those long strides back into first base. Swihart with 2 down.
You talked about how good this outfield is defensively for the Pirates, and Polanco learned something for the mistake of the very first ball of the game. He didn't just jog after this ball, he hauled after it, knowing that the ball was going to keep fading away from him and that he could get in trouble if he didn't dart after it as fast as he could go.
Well, it's going to be one of the best defensive outfields in all of baseball, no question, not just in the National League.
Maybe up against the Red Sox outfield.
No. Of course, the Sox will have Benintendi in left field. Coming off a big day yesterday, 4 for 4. Snap toss by Cervelli, but that does not fool Swihart. 3-2 Pittsburgh here in the 4th.
Both Benintendi and Bradley with a couple home runs already this spring.
Of course, all B's in that outfield again for Boston. Bogusevic is 0 for 1. He has grounded to third. "34 games for Benintendi, who is ranked the #1 prospect in the Red Sox organization. Jackie Bradley and Mookie Betts all-stars. Of course, Mookie finished second in the MVP balloting to Mike Trout of the Angels.
That was a toss-up, wasn't it?
Sure was.
I mean, Trout's in the top 3 when he falls out of bed. But you can't deny the year that Mookie Betts had last year. Unbelievable.
On a team that won the division.
Yeah.
The Angels were not a winning team. You realize if the Red Sox win it again this year, it's going to be the first Boston team. The Red Sox have won 8 division titles. The first team to win back-to-back division crowns in the American League East. It has never happened.
It's because the American League East, year in, year out, is a dogfight.
Red Sox 93 and 69 last year, finishing 4 games ahead of Toronto under John Farrell. Swihart at first, and in there for strike 3. Caught him looking. That will retire the side, so the Red Sox strand a man at first base to the bottom of the 4th. 3-2 Pittsburgh. Joe Kelly. So Velasquez went 3 runs, 6 hits. I would say the Red Sox bullpen. He'll get the bottom third of the order for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now he's not throwing basketball the full length into the hoop. He continues to be one of the Sox more intriguing pitchers. That blazing fastball as he fires in strike one. Mercer hit into a double play his first time up, 5-4-3, and he skips it up there. Osuna and then Wood to follow.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Were we not on there?
1-1. That one smoked high and deep to left field down the line. If it's fair, it is foul. Mercer with 11 home runs last season, so has decent stock for a shortstop, but he just hooked it foul.
Joe Kelly's had an excellent start to his spring training, not giving up anything so far. Dating back to last season, he didn't give up anything late last year either. Kind of found a home in the back half of that bullpen, I think.
Now, Joe last year 4-0 with a 5.18 ERA in 20 appearances. Did make 6 starts. That is punch foul out of play. In his 14 relief appearances, though, he went 2-0 with an ERA of 1.02.
Yeah. 2-0 with an ERA of not much. Now, I think the only worry that anyone had about Joe Kelly moving back into the back end of that bullpen was whether or not he'd throw enough strikes. He came up with that breaking ball. You'll probably see it right here. That's been devastating.
And that's going to be in there for strike 3. 97 on the radar gun to punch out Mercer.
Yeah. He decided to go with the old country fastball and just blew him away.
So 1 man out. Osuna next. He has an RBI single so far today. Kelly had 3 stints with the major league club last season. He battled shoulder and groin injuries. Opened up the season in a Red Sox rotation, but on June 1st he was hit hard at Baltimore and was optioned to AAA the next day and would pitch in relief the rest of the way. And Joe's talked about this season at least knowing what his role is and how important that is for his mindset coming in, unlike other spring trainings with the Red Sox and before that with the St. Louis Cardinals, where he didn't know what his role was going to be precisely.
And it's been a transformation process for him too, because he's always looked at himself as a starter. I'm a starting pitcher, and that's a change for those guys.
The 2-0 will miss in tight, so ball 3 on Osuna.
I think it really helps when the organization asks you to make a change and say, look, we're going to pitch you out of the bullpen, and then you go out there and have immediate success. I think that might change the way you think about that role.
Cross for a called strike at 96. So Velasquez went 3, gave up 3 runs, 6 hits. Also expecting to see Matt Barnes today, and maybe 4 or 5 others depending on how it goes. Check swing. Did he offer? He did not. So it'll be ball 4, and Osuna is on.
The third baseman, number 76, Eric Wood.
So a one-on walk, and now the number 9 man, Eric Wood, who struck out his first time up.
Joe Kelly is an excellent athlete. He was the fastest runner on the St. Louis Ball Club. I don't think he could beat Mookie Betts. Made that full court shot, the basketball game. I think TC played with him in the Red Sox Foundation golf tournament, and he says Joe Kelly shows up to play golf in flip-flops, but he takes them off when he hits the ball and then drives at about 320.
It's not fair.
Barefooted.
Yeah, it's not fair.
No.
To have all that ability. Massive cut and a miss by Wood. Note that same little basketball workout over at Florida Gulf Coast, which of course is Chris Sale's alma mater. Sale sunk a half-court shot, and Hanley Ramirez fired in a couple of three-pointers. Those were all on tape, on video somewhere too, but no one cares about them now because Joe Kelly fired one 94 feet full court and sunk the thing. Sharply hit but foul by Wood.
On the third try, he said, I had to make a little adjustment after the first one, and then I figured it out.
You know, college basketball players, after every workout, that's what they do. They try the half-court shots, and it's always fun to watch, you know, after the practice. But there is some actual work to be done there. If you're going to win a game on a half-court shot, you've got to practice that thing once in a while. But nobody practices the full-court thing.
No. I think Joe Kelly was technically standing out of bounds when he threw it, too. So, yeah, you wouldn't shoot that shot.
Nothing but net. Osuna on at first base.
Well, you well know how many tournament basketball games come down to a last-second 55-footer that someone heaves up there and goes in.
You sure can. The madness of March. Downstairs for a ball. Josh Harrison on deck. Pirates got 2 in the second. The Sox got 2 in the third on the Chris Young home run. And the Pirates with a run in the last half of the third inning to retake the lead. They've out hit the Red Sox 6-4. He skipped it up there, knocked down by Swihart. The runner will slide into second base, advancing. So as soon as safely into scoring position on what will be a wild pitch.
Swihart may have taken a little extra peek at Osuna running, and he didn't quite get a handle on the ball after it was on the ground. Then did the smart thing and ate it, so he didn't throw it down there and throw it away.
And the 3-2 popped him up. Out goes Miller. Bogusevic coming in. The second baseman called off by Bogusevic. A little bit of contact there. The runner holding at second base, and they're 2 away.
The second baseman, number 5, Josh Harrison.
Key to making a play like that is to make sure that someone's screaming. You got to have communication, and if the outfielder can come in and make the play, it is an easier play.
So the batter will be Josh Harrison, the leadoff man. He's gone 1 for 2 with a single and scored a run in the third. Joe Kelly's going to be in that bullpen. That went down into the dirt, and the runner will advance again. May have gotten the umpire Fairchild on the hop on the skip to home plate. Indeed it did. Pirate trainer's going to come out and see if he's okay. He actually kept that from going to the backstop.
Yeah, I think it skipped right through the wickets of Swihart, but then got Fairchild. Check it out again, see what it looks like. Oh, just a wicked bounce. Yeah, and this is the big difference too when you're talking about spring training, and they're like, oh, well, what are those pitches? What do they need to work on? Well, we're seeing a good fastball out of Kelly right now, but he has no feel for his breaking ball, and that was a great pitch for him last year's second half when he came up with it. That was a devastating breaking ball that he got a lot of strikes with, and right now he's working, trying to figure it out. Doesn't have a good feel for it right now. Hasn't been able to throw it over the plate. And that is a wicked pitch to try to block if you're Swihart when it's a 55-footer.
Couple of wild pitches for Kelly. Man at third base in Osuna. And a 1-0 to Harrison in tight. Joe Kelly's going to enter the season with the Major League's longest winning streak still intact. 12 in a row dating back to August the 1st of 2015. It's an odd stat for a guy who has moved to the bullpen.
And spent a lot of time in AAA.
Since Joe arrived in Boston in 2014 from St. Louis in a John Lackey trade, just in wins and losses, his record is 18-8. Someone thumps in there at 96.
That's an easy 96 too, isn't it? Just easy throw. Not too much effort, and the ball just explodes.
Looking to escape the fourth inning without any runs against him. The 3-1. And he missed again, so he's walked a couple of men. Walk on the wild side so far for Joe. First and third.
Well, I think what you're going to see right here is Carl Willis come out and talk to him a little bit. This is a tough outing for Joe Kelly right now, only because he doesn't have all his weapons. Doesn't have a good feel for the breaking ball, so he's trying to move that fastball in and out. He's really kind of a one-pitch pitcher right now, and he's trying to get away with it.
So men on the corners here for the Pirates, who have accepted 3 walks so far today. And he'll send up Starling Marte. He's 1 for 2 with a base hit.
Now we know Harrison can run over there.
Two down. Another one bounced up there for ball 1. So trying to harness that breaking ball.
It's a tough release point to get consistent. Right now he's hanging on to it a little bit too long. Give Swihart some credit on that one, blocking it with a guy on third base.
He's been challenged in this inning. He snaps one in there for a strike. His best breaking pitch so far. Callahan warming up in the bullpen again. Jamie Callahan, right-hander, expected to work today for John Farrell. Two down. Runner at first goes. Flied into right field. Bogusevic will make that catch to retire the side. So Kelly with some wildness issues, but gets through it. He strands 2. The Red Sox right now get up to 60 months with no interest with equal payments. Furnish one room or your entire room, and best of all, you get to enjoy it right now. Visit Jordans.com for details. At Lecombe Park here in Bradenton, the home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Steve Lyons, Dave O'Brien, and Garrett Austin alongside today. Red Sox are trailing 3-2 as we go to the 5th inning. Junior Lake, today's DH for the Red Sox, singled his first time up and scored a run. He was aboard when Chris Young mashed a 2-run homer in the 3rd. And he'll take a ball.
Lecombe Park is the oldest facility in Major League Baseball for spring training.
Is that right?
Since 1969 they've been using it. And for a while there it showed.
Yeah. Well, so many teams have been changing their addresses in spring training in both Arizona and Florida recent years. He thought about it, but it's outside for a ball.
Strange, for a while it seemed like every team was moving to Arizona. But I believe it's a pretty good mix. I think there's 15 in each East Coast, West Coast. Just seems like there's more in Arizona.
You trained in both, didn't you?
I went to spring training 1 year with the Cubs and lived in Arizona for most of my playing career. Got released that year.
2-2, he checked there. Do you have a preference where to train?
Arizona. The weather's better. The travel's better. It's more of a regional event in Arizona.
3-2, and he walked him. So Lake is on to begin the 5th for the Red Sox. Although difficult to beat today under any circumstances here in Florida.
Yeah.
No, that wind is pretty gusty.
And they have not seen rain here in Florida like they normally do this time of year. So you're just seeing brilliant mid 80-degree days every day with low humidity. You can't beat it, period.
Miller flies that one to right. Wind will take it a bit. McCutchen near the line. He has moved from center field to right field this season for the Pirates.
And make no mistake, that will be an adjustment for him. He does not see the ball spin like that away from him off a right-hander's bat on a ball that's basically slicing away from him. Center field, you don't see that. And he's going to have to get used to it and take repetition. And you see him battling it a little bit. Finally catches up and makes a play, but that's an adjustment.
One out is Brock Holt, who has torn into a double. He's also grounded out to second. Brock Holt made his major league debut for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2012. Sox acquired him in a trade that December. He was shaking a lot of hands when he came to the park today for old friends. Well, he's a very friendly guy to begin with, but they were very happy to see him back.
The Red Sox happy to have him.
He's been such a valuable player, playing first base, second base, third, short, all 3 outfield spots in his Red Sox career. He's made the All-Star team. Slap foul.
I think last year he played the fewest number of positions. I think only 5 positions last season, but as we talked about, injuries and the way things shake out every once in a while. Last year he had less opportunity to get on the field.
Yeah, playing in just 94 games as opposed to 129 his All-Star year in 2015.
There's not a major league player that'll tell you that I will play better if I play fewer games.
Right now, when you look at this Red Sox team in these early days of the exhibition schedule and think about what are the questions, we've already touched on the possibility of backup catcher, although Sandy Leon's going to be the #1 guy Velasquez likely to be the number 2, but Blake Swihart is in that conversation to win a job. Pop to center. Marte fighting the sun a little bit. 2 down. You think about left-handed relief for the Red Sox. You mentioned Abad, who is scheduled to work today. Every outing for Abad is going to be really a crucial one because he's on that bubble.
Robbie Ross, obviously, the season he had last year, has no worries. He will be one of those guys. Robbie Scott came up and made an impression last season, but you would think at this point in spring training, he's one of the guys kind of on the outside looking in, trying to make an impression.
Chris Young 1 for 2 with a 2-run homer in the 3rd. Goes after the first pitch and pops it into center again. 3 men converging. Marte, the Gold Glover, will make the catch. Bit of a snow cone there, but he hangs on. And the Red Sox strand 1 at the midway point today in Bradenton. 3-2 Pirates. Back in Bradenton, bottom of the 5th inning. Pittsburgh up by a run. And don't forget to catch Dining Playbook with Billy and Jenny. Find out the best places to eat and drink before, during, and after the game throughout New England. Dining Playbook driven by your New England Chevy dealers. Last half of the 5th inning, Red Sox make a couple of changes, most notably on the mound where the right-hander Matt Barnes will take over. Washington now in left field. And Matt Barnes, of the 58 players in the Sox camp, Barnes is the only one born in New England.
Yeah.
Spent all of 2016 at the major league level, making 62 appearances out of the bullpen. That led the staff.
Barnes is a Connecticut guy, isn't he?
He is. Danbury, Connecticut.
Yeah, he was the workhorse last year, the most appearances, the most innings, and a relatively modest number when you think at it league wide. You see guys with 79, 80, 83 appearances somehow. Low 60s is pretty good. When you have starters that can get deep into games, you don't need your relievers throwing a ton of innings.
That's right. When you have guys like Rick Porcello and David Price and now Chris Sale. Certainly the hope is that Stephen Wright, Eduardo Rodriguez will have big years as well. Great to see Stephen throw yesterday. You and I were there at JetBlue to watch his workout, and Drew Pomerantz as well. It had been a long time. I mean, going back to, what was it, September of last year that Stephen Wright last threw against a hitter?
Tampa Bay, he made a start.
Fouled back by McCutchen. Yep. It was great to see him on the mound. He felt great after he was done. And so did Pomeranz.
They both threw 25 pitches. Looked good. Now, Stephen Wright talked more about throwing his fastball after that workout than his knuckleball. He says that still has to be a weapon for me. I have to be able to use it, surprise some people with it.
Base hit to right by McCutchen. Who also has an RBI and a sacrifice fly here today. I don't think people should forget about what Stephen Wright did. There were stretches last season, weeks at a time where he was the best starter the Red Sox had. He won 13 games.
First half of the season, really, with how consistent he was, even though Porcello was doing a good job kind of creeping up on the great season that he had. Price was in there. Price didn't have a great first half.
They'll send up Polanco, has walked and scored and flied out to center. Pittsburgh in front 3-2 in the fifth.
It really was Stephen Wright who was the most consistent winner when he took the mound.
And for a long stretch, he was the anchor. Runner goes. McCutchen on the move. A strike. The tag, and he's safe. It's a team that's going to want to run. McCutchen with a steal of second.
That was a good job by Swihart making the transfer and trying to get the throw down there, but this base was stolen off of Barnes. Barnes is lanky and tall, slow to the plate. Not much Swihart can do, even with a perfect throw down there to get him.
We'll see if that number goes up for McCutchen in 2017. And we'll see if he remains a Pirate all season long. Polanco lunging, gets a piece of it. McCutchen admitted that it was jarring to hear his name tossed about in potential trade conversations after so many successful years with the Pirates, really as the face of the franchise.
Now, they said he took a long time this winter and kind of just chilled out, didn't do anything. He was contemplating the possible trade and the obvious move to right field, which I think everyone knows he's not happy about. But he hasn't said a word publicly about anything disparaging towards the organization or Clint Hurdle for making this move. I think he understands that it's time. But as we said before, he falls out of bed thinking, I'm a center fielder, and he'll always feel that way.
He's been a heck of a player. He's won an MVP. But last year, career low 256, hit 24 homers. And it was a major fall off in his defense, which prompted that move. Marte is a superior defender. Polanco won't chase it. Pirates with 7 hits, Red Sox with 4 on the day. And the 1-2 from Matt Barnes. Little pop up into left field, dropping coming on, and a catch made by Young. So one man gone. Red Sox season ticket holders experience the best seats, price, and benefits that Fenway has to offer. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, please visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877 Red Sox today. Washington taking over in left field. And that'll send up Cervelli, who's gone 2 for 2 with a base hit in the second inning, and another in the third. McCutchen at second base. And bounced up there and knocked down by Swihart, who's been very busy digging pitches out of the dirt last couple of innings.
And he's seen 2 guys that throw the type of breaking balls that are so difficult to block. Hard slider out of Barnes. If you don't have the feel for that pitch and you bounce it, it's just so much spin on it. And we saw the same thing out of Kelly earlier. No day in the park sitting back there when they're not throwing the ball over the plate. And as you mentioned earlier, when we talked about the fact that the Pirates went through 6 catchers, it's no day in the park when you're a catcher, period. You know, it's just not a fun place back there. You're getting beat up most of the game.
Cervelli is one of the chattiest catchers in the game, chattiest players, period. He is a live wire. He'll take a strike. I don't know if catchers generally are as sociable as first basemen.
Yeah, they're a little more involved.
A little more involved.
He's made a difference in this organization, though. The pitchers love throwing to him.
Yeah, he's become a real leader for the Pirates. Sandoval to his left will freeze the runner at second. And Cervelli makes his first out of the day, and there are 2 down.
The designated hitter, number 23.
They'll send up the DH, David Freese.
It's a subtle little move that made a difference by Sandoval right there. After he caught that ball, he took an extra couple steps to make sure that he looked McCutchen back to second base. If he threw this ball right away, McCutchen would have had a chance to go to third after the throw, because he not only gave his shortstop a chance to get over and cover, but he also forced McCutchen back to second base for a couple extra steps so that he couldn't even think about going to third. It was a nice little holdup before he made that throw.
Freese 1 for 2 with an RBI base hit. And he'll take ball 1. Hector Velasquez got the start for the Red Sox today, and he went 3 innings. He allowed 6 hits and 3 runs. At times he was hit pretty hard. Joe Kelly came on, pitched 1 inning. A scoreless inning, and now it's Barnes. Red Sox have several minor leaguers who have made the trip to here to Bradenton, along with Fernando Abad, the big leaguer, who should also pitch today. The 1-0 right through it. Lively fastball at 94.
I say this all the time when Barnes pitches, and I mean it. I mean, he has some filthy stuff, and sometimes you just wonder how anyone actually squares him up. Last year, I mean, when he came back, he was put into some difficult situations in games, but responded. The runners in scoring position. He had a 1.81 ERA.
I remember his headline performance of last year was against the San Francisco Giants in July. He worked out of a bases loaded jam in the 6th inning, through 3 scoreless innings, and he got the win. 11-7 Red Sox victory.
Some guys will complain if they can't come in during a clean inning. He never does. His job is to come in the dirty inning and get you out of it.
The first half of the season, very tough to hit, a 2.93 ERA. Second half, 6.03. But down the stretch, last 12 games, 1.13. So it was a bit of a roller coaster for Matt.
Yeah, and I think he went through a little dead arm period there where you saw the numbers spike on him a little bit.
McCutchen leading from second, a 2-2. And on the right side, Miller up and over to Craig in plenty of time. So good job there. Barnes pitching around the base hit and the theft. Still 3-2 Pirates.
Baseball on Nesson. It's the top of the 6th. The Pirates have a 3-2 lead. OB Steve, 2 home runs for Jackie Bradley Jr. in his last game on Thursday. After the game, Jackie told us, you know, it's early, but he's still getting his timing back, and he's also working on a lot of things, getting things in sync. When he was asked the one thing that he'd like to improve on this year, he said more peaks and less valleys. Guys, he said he really wants to be more consistent this season.
Well, I've heard him say that before, and you have too, Garen, and that's huge for him to get out of that streakiness pattern that he had at times last year. Not to forget, he hit 26 homers, drove in 87 runs. He had a lot of really, really good weeks with the bat, but trying to smooth things out a little bit.
You know, when you hear that, and we would say, we call Pablo Sandoval a very streaky hitter, because he has been. Jackie Bradley Jr., sort of the same thing. I always go back to the quote that Hanley Ramirez says all the time, and I just think it's hilarious. He said, if I was hot all the time, I'd hit 750. Again, the game doesn't work that way, man.
Jackie on the day is 0 for 2, facing a new pitcher here in Tony Watson. And they also have a new right fielder in Michael Suki. Takes over for McCutchen. This guy was a workhorse. 70 appearances last year. Suki taken up in right.
Tony Watson, a left-handed slinger, 31 years old now. That is an odd view if you're a left-handed hitter. You feel like he's throwing it at you from first base.
2-0 pitch, drops in for a strike.
You remember that the long-time Pirate pitcher John Candelaria.
Oh yeah.
Who was 6'7" and would step towards the Pittsburgh dugout and then throw it like that.
The Candyman. Second baseman Harrison backs up on that. One man out in the 6th, and Jackie's 0 for 3.
Hitters will tell you there's some guys that they don't really like facing. I don't hit the guy well. I don't see the ball well. There are very few hitters that'll tell you they were afraid to face anybody. John Candelaria was the guy that I was literally afraid to face because I couldn't see the ball. I didn't know where it was coming from. That's scary.
What an unnerving feeling. Especially so if a guy throws, you know, in the mid-90s and you have no idea where it's coming from. But even if a guy's, you know, just touching 90,
yeah,
still do some damage.
Yes.
If you don't see it. Sandoval today 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied to center. Pablo now 30 years old as he waves and misses. Now remember that Sandoval has been a World Series MVP. He was for the San Francisco Giants in 2012.
Look
Ropes
out.
that one foul. That got in there in a hurry. This Keep It Moving moment brought to you by Old Dominion.
I'll tell you what, he's been busy down there. Nice little double play ball. He set up, got the ball over to Miller in plenty of time. This coming all the way across the diamond, and then the play he had in the last inning where he just took a couple extra steps, looked back, McCutchen, and then made the play.
Old Dominion helping the world keep its promises. Sandoval back to switch hitting now. And a 2-2 from the left-hander. Foul back. Just underneath Steve Lyons. With a clang.
Yeah.
That was a little too close this early in spring training.
And the roof out in front of us is angled, so it literally could hit the roof and skip up and get us.
Yeah, it's gonna. Swing and a miss. Down goes Sandoval. I mean, this is made to keep you on your toes.
There you go.
Bob Walk, a former big league pitcher, didn't even flinch, just to our immediate right.
Yeah. Joe Block, play-by-play guy here.
Swihart gets a piece. He is 1 for 2 with a single. 3-2 Pittsburgh. You know this is true. At Old Tiger Stadium, the broadcast booth was closer to home plate than the pitcher's mound was. And Ernie Harwell, bless his heart, the Hall of Fame announcer, he had a net, in front of his. But in the visiting booth, there was no net.
You got to think that doing a game like that, you certainly have to be on your toes. But, boy, you got to feel like you're right on top of it.
Yes.
It would be fun. It's not like doing a game in Washington. Hey, do a Nats game, and I think you're 220 feet away from home plate when you're doing the game for the Washington Nationals. And the same thing here at Pittsburgh. You're a million miles away, the broadcast booth, doing a game in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, I think, is something like 8.5 stories, and Washington's like 11 stories. They hand you a canister of oxygen and say, go get them. Get on up there. But
need binoculars to see who's coming to the plate.
Yeah. Spring training, you're right on top of everything, including home plate. 2-2, misses down and away on Blake Swihart. Played in only 19 games last year and had that ankle injury and the surgery. So the Red Sox are reinstating Blake as a catcher in 2017.
And he's happy about that.
Waved at and missed. Down he goes. And the left-hander Watson gets the Red Sox 1-2-3 here in the 6th inning. 3-2 Pittsburgh.
Nothing is more
MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, enjoy almost 300 spring training games and the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. 3-2. The Pirates have the lead. Last half of the 6th inning. Red Sox are making a bunch of changes here. Fernando Abad, who's trying to make this team as a lefty in the bullpen. That is by no means a done deal. His numbers last year combined with the Red Sox and Minnesota, he was much better with the Twins, of course. So every outing is going to be key for him. He'll get the bottom third of the order. Selski taking over at first base. Scott Selski. And several more changes, and we will get to those throughout the inning. Craig moves from first base out to left. And Washington has moved from left field to center. Devers now at third base. Marrero at short. And Procession is the new catcher if you're scoring at home.
When you wander around the ballparks, there are still people, and you love them, that will keep score at the games. They're watching the game. They keep score. They love doing it. Their dad taught them when they were a kid. They must be in heaven in these spring training games. I'm pulling my hair out, but they must love it.
Yeah, For some people, it's a lot of fun. Fly into left field. Craig tested right away in the back pedal. Made that one look easy. One man gone.
Well, Obi, we're lucky if the managers actually put players in. Like if the left fielder comes out of the game and you put a new left fielder in, we're lucky if he's hitting in the left fielder spot. Sometimes a new left fielder comes in, but he's actually hitting in the second baseman spot. Then it gets hairy. You don't know what's going on.
Jose Osuna has singled in a run and taken ball 4. Red Sox working their 4th pitcher into the game here today. After Hector Velasquez, who was recently signed from the Mexican League, got the start, went 3 innings and gave up 3 runs. Red Sox are going to open the season against these Pittsburgh Pirates. Opening day, April 3rd at 2:05 in the afternoon at Fenway Park. Red Sox and the Pirates. That's a 3-game series, and the Red Sox will go to Detroit. So really starting out with the warm weather stops.
Yeah, bring your long johns.
Big cut and a miss by Osuna.
You know what you notice about the Red Sox as a whole in the clubhouse is they don't complain about stuff like that. They don't complain about being cold. They didn't complain about the brutal schedule in the second half last year. In fact, played some of their best baseball during it.
It felt like the Red Sox went to the West Coast like 5 times after the All-Star break. And yet had that 11-game winning streak and won the division down the stretch. Despite some very tough scheduling.
Yeah, I think a lot of other teams looked at the Red Sox schedule, who they had to play and how tough it was going to be, and I think they thought that team would fold up. That didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Red Sox won the division, but it took a lot out of the Red Sox.
Yes, it did.
I think come October, even before the playoffs. I mean, remember the Red Sox won 11 in a row, won the division. And when the winning streak ended, they then lost 8 of the last 9 games they played, including postseason play.
Yes, they did.
To the second baseman, Miller. And 2 down.
And you and I were talking before the game started. I mean, they were gassed. You know, a lot of guys were tired. And, you know, it had to be done. And the way it was done was brilliant with the celebration of Big Papi. But that took a lot out of not only Big Papi, and he admitted so towards the end.
He did.
But also his teammates, too. That kind of celebration is tough to go through. And it was, as I said, it was superbly done. But it took a lot out of the guys.
I tip my cap to Terry Francona and the Cleveland Indians. I thought at that point in the season they were the better club. And they deserved to win that series. But the Red Sox were gassed.
Yep. And the Cleveland Indians not only took that series, got all the way to the World Series, and in some respects, I think there's a lot of people that said they probably should have won the World Series without 2 of their best pitchers. They got those guys back now.
Max Maroff here hitting out of the 9th spot with the bases empty. Steve Lyons, Dave O'Brien, Garen Austin with you here from Bradenton. Well, the Pirates have a 3-2 lead. Hopes, of course, sky high for this Red Sox team, particularly now that it appears David Price is okay. No surgery. And no major shutdown for the left-hander. And a giant sigh of relief all throughout Red Sox Nation that it appears David Price is going to be okay. It was not a ligament in the end anyway. It was a muscle. So great news there.
Absolutely. Little soreness, that'll pass.
Two from Abad and a full count. I thought Dave Dombrowski was noticeably relieved today. I mean, David's always as cool as a cucumber anyway, to be honest with you, but there was a hint of relief when he was chatting with the reporters and all of us before today's game. giving more details on what happened in Indianapolis yesterday. Check swing, but that's in there for strike 3. So Abad looked pretty sharp there. Gets him 1, 2, 3 through 6. 3-2 Pirates. Red Sox giveaways return to Fenway in 2017, including Rick Porcello and Mookie Betts bobblehead nights, April 5th and 14th. For tickets and more information on the entire giveaway lineup, visit redsox.com/promos. To the 7th inning, 3-2 Pittsburgh. Hudson will become the new pitcher. Daniel Hudson for the Bucks. One of several changes. Alan Craig remaining in the game for the Red Sox, but no longer at first base. He's been in left field. And Cervelli still doing the catching for the Pirates.
Third appearance of the spring for Hudson's got an inning each time.
Craig with a ground ball to short and a fly to left. We've got Austin Meadows, who's a big prospect for the Pirates in left field, taking over for Polanco.
Big prospect, big kid.
And they have an Ortiz in center field. Danny Ortiz. So all of their regular outfielders, this outstanding outfield, great trio for the Pirates. They're all now on the bench, all the starters. Maybe headed for the golf course in there for a called strike.
They better hit low drives, keep it out of the wind.
Sound very experienced in the art of leaving a spring training game for the golf course, Steve. A fly ball pretty well hit on the move, Ortiz. Ooh. And he'll make the catch. And Suki nearly got in the way there. Now number 1. Hey, on the next Charlie Moore Outdoors, Charlie travels to sunny Florida to hook up with 2-time World Series champ Johnny Damon. Johnny talks about breaking the curse with the Red Sox, and Charlie gives Johnny a hard time for leaving the Sox for the Yankees. Thank goodness he does. Don't miss it tomorrow afternoon at 12:30. I'm going to tune in just to hear that.
Absolutely.
One man out. Bogusevic knocks that one foul out of play for a strike.
I'll tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to storm in and out of town here and be gone without giving me one of your classic calls. I want to hear Swifty. Love Swifty.
You love the Swifty.
Oh, yeah. I got to hear it.
We all have our favorites, don't we? Down low for a ball.
That was not a Swifty.
That was not. Absolutely not. It was 83 miles an hour. Bogusevic, a guy with some major league experience with Houston, the Cubs, and the Phillies. Started out his pro career as a pitcher and was moved to the outfield about 8 years ago. And that was a decent Swifty at 94.
There it is.
Sox been held to 4 hits. That'll be in there for strike 3. Boy, he's had an interesting day.
Yep.
Bogusevic a couple times has been rung up on pitches that he thought were borderline. Then there was that play early in the game at first base. He thought he was safe.
Yeah, he thought he beat it out. He got called out, and then 2 tough pitches to strike him out. Once he thought was ball 4, and that one just froze him.
Right at the hollow of the knee. Two up, 2 down for the Sox here in the 7th. Junior Lake now. He has singled. He's also taken ball 4. Now, frankly, until the David Price thing flared up, and of course now that has tamped down because of the good news on David, it had been such a quiet camp. I think Dan Shaughnessy called it Camp Tranquility, and it was that. I mean, it was over and above the fact there wasn't any news coming out of the camp. It was downright dull. There aren't many jobs up for grabs.
Exactly.
Which is a great thing for an organization to say.
So many players coming back to this ball club that are established. Not a whole lot of mystery on who's going to be on this club. Got to figure out a 5th starter. You got to figure out maybe someone in the bullpen.
Right.
As you were mentioning, with some left-handed help maybe.
Big cut and a miss. Lake goes down, and that's it for the Red Sox. 2nd inning in a row. They strike out twice and get down 1-2-3. We're in the middle of the 7th. 3-2 Pirates. Game this week. A couple of filmmakers from Suffolk University, plus a filmmaker from Central Connecticut State, debuting a film about a young basketball player struggling to achieve his dreams. And as Ness and Next producer, presented in part by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Now back here at Bradenton, the spring training home of the Pittsburgh Pirates, Ben Taylor will get a look now for the Red Sox as he will face the Pirates, who have a 3-2 lead. Just had a great visit from one of the real gentlemen in sports broadcasting, the great Doc Emmerich. For my money, the best hockey announcer I've ever heard.
I think without question.
And actually tried his hand at a little baseball and really enjoyed it. He said he always wanted to do it. I'm glad he stayed out of the baseball realm. Yeah. Believe me.
He said at least with hockey, something's always going on. He said you have too much time to fill in baseball.
Adam Frazier, the batter, as Taylor will miss inside. Taylor's 6'3", about 240, a 24-year-old. Now in his third pro season. Ranked the Red Sox number 21 overall prospect. And Frazier slaps that one foul. And Doc's one of the great storytellers. On top of being one of the great hockey announcers ever, maybe the best ever. Late cut, Taylor with pretty good giddy up on the fastball, 93-95.
Struck out the side on Wednesday when he made an appearance against Baltimore. He can bring it.
And he'll miss outside. Ortiz on deck. And I know when I say Ortiz on deck, if you're not following the game, if you're sitting in the living room, you're doing your reading or whatever, changing the baby's diaper, you're like, Ortiz on deck.
Yeah. He didn't make a comeback with the Pirates.
Would be a lot of fun to get David in the booth, though, wouldn't it?
It would be a lot of fun to get David anywhere.
True enough. 3-2. He got a piece of that.
Might even be a lot of fun to say Ortiz on deck again.
Yeah. A couple of the tweets he sent out over the winter had people like, oh, what do you think?
Isn't it Pedro that's like still sticking to his guns, saying that Ortiz will come back in July?
Broken back ground ball up and over, and plenty of time for the out.
The center fielder, number 69.
We'll see this version of Ortiz, Danny Ortiz for the Pirates, coming up next. Getting his first at bat here this afternoon, a 3-2 Pirate lead in the 7th. It's a Red Sox team that has been scoring a lot of runs lately. They did not in the initial days of spring training, but last 2 games, 28 runs. The offense has been very quiet here today.
Outscored the opponents 28-3. And the 4 games before that, it only scored 14 runs.
The 2-0 will dip down and in for a ball on Ortiz. Mentioned it earlier, Xander Bogaerts representing the Red Sox at the World Baseball Classic, playing for the Netherlands. He departed on Monday to participate in Pool A. That's with Korea, Chinese Taipei, and Israel at the Sky Dome in Seoul, South Korea. Their first game is in 2 days. I know Xander's main concern was he was going to lose weight. Line shot to right field. Bogasevic will scoop that up. Solid base hit for Ortiz. So he is on with 1 man out. The sounds of spring training baseball are in the air. Before you know it, the sounds of Plain Ridge Park Casino Fenway Concert Series will be in the air at Fenway. Limited tickets remain for James Taylor with Bonnie Raitt on August 11th. Get your tickets at redsox.com/James Taylor. So a man on here with one out. Suki with his first at bat. He stings a shot into left field. Back to back well struck base hits for the Pirates here.
Figure they're going to see a fastball from Taylor, so they go up looking for one. These guys that get late at bats in games, they're not going to be taking pitches.
And Meadows will bat for the first time in the cleanup spot now for Clint Hurdle's team. Austin Meadows, you see his numbers at Double-A. It's a serious prospect. 311 with 6 home runs. And a good looking young hitter. He'll look at a strike. Well, good work out of Fernando Abad. It's an outing you really needed to enhance his chances of making the Red Sox bullpen. He's in a real fight.
You think it's tougher for a guy like that, who's not really a left-handed specialist, but he's going to be a one-inning guy. You can't have a bad inning coming into spring training. You got to go out and dazzle. You don't get that many opportunities to show that you're ready to get it done.
Yeah, that ERA can blow up in a hurry on you. Spring training. And it's not going to move much. If it does happen.
Give up 1 earned run. There's your 9 ERA.
3 runs, 9 hits for Pittsburgh, 2 runs, 4 hits for the Red Sox, and the only 2 Boston runs came in the 3rd inning on a 2-run homer by Chris Young. Ben Taylor pitching here. He surrendered an earned run in the 8th inning Wednesday against the Orioles. Faced 4 batters, struck out 3. Cervelli scheduled to hit next, but Jackson Williams will bat for him. Cervelli had a good day, going 2 for 3. And soon to play for the Italian team in the World Baseball Classic. That'll be in there for a strike, and got him looking. Meadows thought it was up. Home plate umpire Fairchild said it was a strike.
It's a lot of strike zone for Meadows, tall, lanky kid.
So 2 down, and now Williams will get in. First and second, and 2 away. Foul back. Red Sox will be heading back to JetBlue tomorrow at 1:05 against Atlanta. Right-hander Kyle Kendrick will get the start. Robbie Ross will also pitch along with Heath Hembree. And Brandon Workman, who's trying to make his way back after a serious injury. That's high and tight for a ball. Ortiz and Suki lead away, and that one pops out of the mid. Procession, but no advance by the runners at first and second.
Never really thought about it this way because I never had to come to spring training as a pitcher, but so many pitchers in camp. We look at the list. There's tons of them. There's 12 spots. You know, there's a ton of everyday players too, but if you come to camp and you're a second baseman, you're looking around going, all right, there's 3 of us. We got to beat those guys. I'd have to beat the other 40 outfield players.
Hit well to right. Bogusevic back and has room to make the play and retire the side. So Taylor pitches out of that. And that will do it. 2 men left. Still 3-2 Pittsburgh. The Red Sox Foundation uses the power of baseball's most loyal fans to build a stronger community and improve the lives of New Englanders. On Friday, March 10th, watch the Red Sox take on the Orioles. Here's some amazing stories as we showcase the incredible work of the Red Sox Foundation. The Red Sox Foundation Game Night on Nesson, presented by Biogen Foundation, igniting a passion for science. And moving into the late stages of this one on a beautiful day here in Florida. 8th inning, 3-2 Pittsburgh. And the Pirates will go back to their bullpen and bring on Jared Hughes.
He was a workhorse out of their pen last year, appearing in 67 games.
And in there for a strikeout, Maddox. Jackie Bradley, Pablo Sandoval, Blake Swihart, Brock Holt, and Chris Young among the big leaguers who started today for the Red Sox. And now able to rest comfortably. And leaving it basically up to the minor league kids to try for a comeback victory here today.
And it happens.
Fouled that one at the plate for a strike.
Hughes has been around a while. He's been in the Pittsburgh organization virtually his whole major league career. Stamford, Connecticut guy, raised in California. Played for the Dirtbags at Long Beach State, teammates of Longoria and Tulowitzki.
The Dirtbags.
The Dirtbags, yes. I'm not sure what Long Beach State's official nickname is, but for baseball, it is officially the Dirtbags.
Huh. Vanessa out of Caracas, Venezuela. Been in a Red Sox system for quite a while, going back to 2008. Missed the majority of last season, appearing on just 40 games because of a fractured wrist. Batting out of the 9th slot with the bases empty and nobody out here in the 8th. A chopper to first, and Matheson handles that for the out. Red Sox not getting many good swings, really going back to the 3rd inning. Since that point, Boston has all of 1 hit.
Yeah.
So here comes Marrero batting for the first time today. Brock Holt out of that spot, doubled. He went 1 for 3, and that'll miss for ball 1. All things considered, a pretty young camp for Boston. Dustin Pedroia, Chris Young, and Hanley Ramirez are the oldest players in camp. Ricochet here for Mercer, throwing on to first base, and in time to get him. Now we'll see. He's all right. He says he is.
Looked like he protected himself with the glove, but that got on him in a heartbeat. Bad break from Marrero as he absolutely smokes this ball back up the middle. Looks like he got some leather on it. That's a cat-like reaction, though.
So it winds up going 1-6-3.
Devin Marrero, of course, we've talked for a long time. He's a guy who's been all glove, no bat. But so far this spring, he's squaring up some balls with authority, hitting very well. That was a base hit taken away from him.
Yeah, came in hitting .429. Another play at short, and that'll do it for the Red Sox. They go 1-2-3 for the 3rd inning in a row. We're in the middle of the 8th inning in Bradenton. 3-2 Pittsburgh. Is brought to you in part by Ace Ticket. It's more than a ticket. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. By Old Dominion Freight Line, helping the world keep its promises. And by Bob's Discount Furniture. Back in Bradenton, we're in the last half of the 8th inning. Sailing's good, fishing's good.
Swimming's good.
We'll see how good Austin Maddox is. Coming out of the Red Sox bullpen, a right-hander out of the University of Florida. Last year with the Paw Sox and Portland and Salem. So 3 different levels. Spent most of the season at Portland, where he had a .396 ERA in 23 appearances, and also made a couple of starts.
He's had an eventful spring already. Very first outing against Northeastern, he struck out the side. Then he got the save against the Twins, but then suffered the loss against the Yankees last Tuesday.
Valerio, the high pop up along the third base side. Devers coming through and will make the play. The wind took it a little bit, kind of knocked it back. Out number 1. NESN Sports Today has you covered for all the top stories and highlights on the Red Sox Grapefruit League games as they prepare for the regular season. Red Sox spring training coverage presented by Jordan's Furniture, the furniture store, the Boston Red Sox. One man out as Newman will get in. His first at bat of the day, Kevin Newman. Flared to right.
Trouble.
A dive, and what a play. Nessus with a terrific play in foul territory there. The defensive play of the afternoon.
Same thing we've talked about all day. The wind pushing the ball to both foul lines, and he's a little bit lost and catches up with it and makes the play.
So 2 up, 2 down. That'll send up Wyatt Matheson.
He's talking to Allard Baird, one of the assistants to Dave Dombrowski in the organization. He said, all the years I've been coming to this place, the wind either blows straight in or straight out.
Bases are empty with 2 down, and fired in for a strike. Austin Maddox has been with the Red Sox since 2012. 6'3", about 250. In for a strike. 0-2. The attendance today here at Bradenton, 7,893. That is a sellout. Line drive, that'll drop down for a base hit. So Matheson on with a 2-out single.
The third baseman, number 62, Max Moroff.
And that'll send up Moroff for the second time. Right now, if the score holds up, Hector Velasquez, who started for the Red Sox, will take the loss. He went 3 innings, giving up 3 runs on 6 hits.
You'd have to say that this outing not as sharp and crisp as his first.
Yep, Red Sox taking a look at Velasquez for the second time after signing him when spring training was already underway from the Mexican League.
A lot of hard hit balls against him today.
Yeah, there were. Runner on at first base and 2 gone. 3-2 Pittsburgh in the 8th. And the Red Sox regulars who made the trip here today, long since having departed. Big wave and a miss. That one disappeared. We came on the air today talking about the great sigh of relief from the Red Sox organization because of the great news on David Price. It was a much different mood about 48 hours ago. The runner goes. Throw down to second is going to be plenty of time to get him. Out number 3 as they catch him stealing and retire the side. We go to the 9th. Last chance for the Red Sox. 3-2 Pirates. Catch a special encore presentation of Nesson, next producer after today's game. This week, two filmmakers from Suffolk University explore what it means to give up the game of baseball. Plus, a filmmaker from Central Connecticut State debuting a film about a young basketball player struggling to achieve his dreams. We're heading off to the ninth inning here in Bradenton. 3-2 Pittsburgh. They have 10 hits to the Sox 4. Former Red Sox right-hander Pat Light will make an appearance now for the Pirates. You look at his numbers from a season ago with a high ERA at 11.34.
Oh, yeah, it was a rough one for him, especially with the Red Sox. He made that one appearance, or 2 games with the Red Sox. Just 2 2/3 innings pitched. But he gave up 8 runs, an ERA of over 23. He was traded to Minnesota in the Fernando Abad deal and now moves on to Pittsburgh.
First baseman Selski will lead things off here in the ninth.
The thing that everybody loves about Pat Light is that he can light it up. Just hasn't been able to harness that talent on a consistent basis at the major league level yet.
(1-0) to the shortstop. And a fast out here in the ninth inning. One away for the Sox. This Red Sox spring training game on Nesson is brought to you in part by Ace Ticket. Ace Ticket is Boston's trusted source for Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics tickets. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS to treat someone special to a game now. We had Doc Emmerich in the booth, the great hockey voice, and he was raving about the Bruins.
Thinks they have a shot.
Says it's all about goaltending for the Bruins. But
heard that before.
If they get that, he can see a long playoff run.
It's nice to see that team really starting to put things together now.
Rask has the night off tonight. Devers with a big swing and a miss. Just a 20-year-old from the Dominican Republic, but a left-hand hitter with some power. Entering this season as the Sox #2 overall prospect behind Benintendi.
Youngest player in camp.
Strong arm too at third base. He's been ranked #1 in the Red Sox organization for infielders. Last year at High A Salem, 282 at 11 homers, 71 runs batted in. Goes the other way toward the hole. A sliding stab off target with the throw. He's going to be safe, and he's got himself a base hit. So Devers is on.
Devers gets down the line pretty good for a guy who looks a little thick, you know, third baseman thickness.
So 1-out single here in the ninth inning. Sox with their first hit since the 4th inning, since the Blake Swihart single. His procession to catcher. Red Sox down by just 1 here in the ninth. But a double play ball here would end it. And Light with a 1-0. That's on the corner. Red Sox will open up the season against the Pittsburgh Pirates at Fenway on April 3rd at 2:05. Steve promises it'll be 65 and sunny. Runner goes outside, the throw, the tag, and he is out. Devers cut down, 2 away.
This is a straight steal right there, I think. I don't think there was a hit and run or anything on that. Maybe a sign was missed. I think he was just going, trying to get himself in scoring position and maybe tie this thing up.
Two down, a big cut and a miss by Procession. 1 ball and 1 strike. So nobody aboard for the Sox here with 2 down in the 9th. And trailing by a run to the Pirates. And that will do it. Swung on and missed for strike 3. So your final score today from Bradenton, the Pittsburgh Pirates 3 and the Sox 2. Not much offense on today for Boston, just 4 or 5 hits total now after the base hit by Devers. So just 5 hits all afternoon.
Yeah, a little bit of a clunker today after the great offensive production that we've seen out of them over the last couple of games. But you're going to have those down here in spring training. Heck, you're going to have those during the regular season too. But Velasquez didn't look as sharp, and there was almost no hitting after about the 4th inning.
Yep. So there's your final 3-2 Pittsburgh. Steve and I will have more from Bradenton coming up right after this.